Hi, welcome to Diamond Custom Paint Shop. This will be a quick video on mixing and spraying High Build Primer by Limeline. As you can see, I have right here. So like I said, we're going to be spraying this High Build Primer. One of the reasons I like to use High Build Primer, number one, it's a high solid, so it fills deep scratches. If you have deep scratches, just kind of helps out, smooth everything out with less coats of primer, it seems like. And for that same reason, you'll spray on a couple of coats and pretty much that'll do it for most applications. Once you sand it down, everything's going to be nice and smooth and straight. So there'll be some times where we have to spray it again and give you a little more build on there. But for most of the time, you just do the one session and you're going to be good to go. So yeah, this is it here. It's a two-part system. Part A and a part B. This is going to be your part A and your part B. This is a 4-to-1 mix ratio. Always check your mix ratios because this was different than what we sprayed last time, which was the epoxy primer, which was a 1-to-1. So I always recommend, even if you do it all the time, I still will look at it just to make sure, double check when I'm doing it. So I'm just let's read off the can a little bit, some highlights of Limeline's High Build Primer. Some of it I already talked about, like it's a high solids. This is it says it gives excellent color holdout under all urethane finishes with no shrinkage. So it's not going to shrink. Once you spray it on, it's going to stay there. It's not going to shrink and crack up on you. It's fast drying. And it sands easy, wet or dry. That's another thing I like about it. Doesn't load up your sandpaper, so it sands off really nice. So and fast and easy. And then it can be tinted with primer tints or base coat color. So that's a good thing to know too. You can mix your base coat color in with this and kind of spray it out. This is a gray, so it'll probably have to be a darker color, I would imagine. I've never done it that way. We're not going to do it that way this time. I'm just going to spray it, then we'll do our base color black on top of this. Then the mixing instructions, pretty simple, 4-to-1. That's where you're going to see it's 4-to-1. Sometimes they'll say it on the front, but no, yeah, right there, 4-to-1 on the mixing instructions. It means 4 parts primer to the 1 part activator. So this is the primer, and then this is your activator, part A and B. Like always, wipe area clean with wax and grease remover, which right here we're going to use Limeline's panel prep, which is excellent for that. If you saw my past video, we used that. We're going to use it again. Sand the area with 150 to 220 grit sandpaper. I have 180 grit here. We're going to scuff this epoxy primer down with real quick. This is also by Limeline. That comes in these 6-inch discs, so you can put it on a DA sander if you want, or you can go ahead and pick you up one of these sanding blocks from Limeline, which has a Velcro on the side, so you can fit these discs right on. They're pretty easy. It's pretty nice to use. So, okay, 4 parts says again, 4 parts to 1. If you're gonna shake this in a shaker, no longer than 1 minute. The pot life of this, once you mix it up to part A and part B, you have 1 hour to 2 hours at 70 degrees before you can't use it anymore. So, and then the primer may be accelerated with accelerator. Add 1 full cap per quart to activate the primer. Apply 2 to 3 wet coats. We're going to probably just do 2 coats on this application. Number 1, because I already have epoxy primer down. And it's a flat panel. It's going to be it's smooth. The only thing I have on there is just the orange peel from the epoxy primer. So probably just 2 coats will be plenty. Let's see. And then allow 10 to 15 minutes flash time in between coats. Make sure flashes out. And then allow 1 to 2 hours for it to dry at 77 degrees before you start trying to sand it. And yeah, that's it. So Over here, the technical, yeah, the only thing I was going to read over here was the pot life, 1.5 hours. It says over here at 75 degrees, recommended. So yeah, so I'm going to be spraying this. My booth will be 70 degrees, right about to there. I'm going to spray this at. So yeah, like I said, we're going to use the panel prep. First we'll sand. I'll use panel prep a couple of times, get the sanding residue off from sanding it. Then we're going to use just some glass cleaner real quick, and then we'll spray this. And the other thing Limeline has is the high build primer in a spray can, which is really nice. I'll probably actually use it on this project. We'll just see what happens. But as you can see right here in this corner where I drilled these holes to hang it so I could spray it, there's a spot there where, you know, the wire I was hanging it with blocked the epoxy primer right there. So we'll see if I'll try to get in there with it when I spray this time. But if I don't, then you don't fret, because you just get this can. You don't have to mix up a bunch. Just get this can and you'll just spot spray that and take care of that real quick. That's why I love this stuff for spot repairs. Like if you're doing something and you kind of burn through, you got to do a repair. Instead of mixing up this, you just grab this can real quick and do a quick spot repair. So that's always nice. And then I'm gonna use microfiber towels to use with the panel prep from Limeline. These are awesome, like I said before. So yeah, so in this video we're gonna cut away and I'll be back, and I'm actually gonna show you how to mix this in the disposable paint cup system. And then we'll do a quick couple videos of me spraying it, and then we'll recap this at the end when it's all dry, kind of what it looks like, and maybe we'll kind of start sanding it down so you can see how good it sands. So, all right, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. First, real quick, before we mix, I'll tell you about my gun. It's the Limeline Pro 1.4 tip. I'll tell you here how I have it set up, just like I set up for the epoxy primer. Pretty much how I have my gun set up all the time, everything wide open. So that means your fan pattern, wide open. Your trigger is as far back as it can go. You'll adjust it right here with this stop. So basically turn this up till you feel that tension on that trigger, and you just back it back off a little bit. And then my air down at the bottom, that's all the way open. So yeah, that's how I set my paint gun up, and the paint gun that I use. The air pressure I'm going to be shooting at, I'm typically 26.5, 27 PSI on my gun there, on my regulator. So we'll see how that sprays it. Should spray it pretty good at that pressure. And then always too is always mix my can, kind of shake it, not mix it, just shake it a little bit. Maybe 10, 15 seconds just to make sure everything's mixed up good in there. If there is anything to mix up, I just make that a habit with everything, my base coats and everything. So yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll zoom in on this cup here, and I'll explain a few things, and we'll get to mixing this here. Okay, well, there you go. There's how you mix and spray the high build primer by Limeline. You can see it goes on pretty good, nice and easy. I know in the video probably won't be able to see. It's hard to see the primer actually going on. It's even hard for me to see in here when I'm spraying it because the lights are so bright, and it's almost the same color as that epoxy primer. So I pretty much just had to go by faith that it was spraying on. I would spray it on my glove to make sure it was spraying, but yeah, it's really tough to see. But yeah, it went on. You can tell it went on really good. I can tell it went on nice and thick how I like it. Kind of a high build you would think it would be. So yeah, in the video you'll see, if you couldn't see the spray coming out, you can kind of see the the speed I was going at, in the overlap, 50% kind of overlap. I think I was probably doing. So yeah, and that's that. So like I said, I'm going to sand this with some 600 grit because it's a pretty flat, smooth panel. If I had some spots I was worried about, like maybe I did some body work or something, I'd probably use some 400. But this is, a flat panel. I know there's nothing to it. It's flat and it's not like a customer's bike or anything. It's just a showpiece, so it doesn't have to be exact. But if I was going to do it exact, I would use some guide coat, spray it on there, and probably use a 400 grit and make sure everything was nice and smooth, and then go to base coat. So I'm just going to show you how it sands off with some 600 grit, how it doesn't clog the paper or anything like that. It's pretty nice. And then in the next video, I'll be doing, it's actually, I'm going to do black base coat, but the video is going to be metal flake. So I'm going to do metal flake on this panel. So it'll be a black base coat first, and then I'll spray the metal flake, and I'll show you how to mix that and spray it. So yeah, so let's get to it. Let's start sanding this panel. As you can already see, it sands off nice and easy. No clog on the sandpaper. Still good on the sandpaper. Almost done. Now I'm just basically on this, I'm just sanding it down to get the, the roughness that the high build primer leaves. So it's nice and smooth. And then it'll have the 600 grit scratches for the base coat to stick to. And that's it. Nice and done there. Now I'll use the panel prep to prep this again. Panel prep and then glass cleaner. This epoxy primer, like I was saying, the spots right on the corner there where I was hanging it, the wire kind of went over it. I could hit that with this Rattle Can epoxy primer. That's kind of what it's made for, is little spot repairs. So we can kind of do that right now, I guess, while I got you in the video. Give it a good mix. Let's just clean this one spot right here before I spray it. Okay, then we'll just give that a nice spray, and that's all it takes. Like I said, this is a high build also, so it's pretty awesome. So that's all that's going to take. Looks like that was the only spot that did it. So yeah, we'll let that dry, and then I'll kind of scuff it a little bit. I don't know if I necessarily need to, but I'll just scuff it really lightly once that dries, and then we'll be in the base coat in our next video. All right, well, that wraps this video up with the Limelight High Build Primer. I recommend this primer. If you're going to use primer, just go down to the link in my description of the Limelight site. If you click on that link, you'll get 10% off everything in the store there. So go ahead and pick yourself some up, and some of this rattle can high build primer. And then I guess I'll see you on the next one.